This is episode 223 of the Fearless Launching Show. This week, we've got another really inspiring and energetic interview. It is so good that even though there are sound issues throughout, I literally was like, there's no way we are not publishing this. So today's interview will be accompanied by a full transcript just to make sure that what you do read and you do hear, you can also look at that transcript and follow along. We are speaking to Nathan Latka, who is the author of How to Be a Capitalist Without Any Capital. And let me just tell you, that book got me fired up. So I can't wait to hear what you think of this interview. Let's dig in. Hi, I'm Ann Samoylov, and I've helped some of the biggest online entrepreneurs and business owners have successful 6- and 7-figure product launches. By working in the trenches offline to produce movies, TV shows, video games, I've discovered so many different ways to launch creative ideas. And the question is, do you have to copy what your guru says in order to have a successful launch? Do you have to use their done-for-you system in order to have success, in order to achieve your goals in business? I say no. This is the Fearless Launching Show featuring myself and an ongoing cast of characters, friends who join me in discussing business, launching, life, and balancing it all and having an amazing time doing it. Let's get into today's episode. Nathan, I just want to thank you for joining me here on the Fearless Launching Show. As I was just talking about, I honestly can't shut up about the book that just came out, and I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Well, thanks for having me on. Now, by the way, I have to figure out if this is a compliment or not. Now, do you talk about every book you read like crazy? Or
No, I don't. No, I do not. Only ones that actually have me taking action myself. So yep. That's to me a marker of a book that I'm like, I gotta share this with you. So that is one of the actions, but I'm taking other actions, as you'll find out today.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Awesome. Well, first off, before we dive into some of the things that I want to share with you, I need to get off my chest with you about my own business and like my reaction to a few things from your book, How to Be a Capitalist Without Any Capital. Can't even speak today. But I want to just say, would you be willing to just share a little bit about your story and, how you first started in terms of like, what did you first create to say, hey, I have a business, and where are you now?
Sure. Well, look, I was an architecture at Virginia Tech, and I was sitting in as a freshman and quickly realized that there were seniors right next to me who were graduating and couldn't get jobs, which was crazy because Tech at the time was ranked the #1 architecture program in the country. And so the fact that graduates were now in debt, basically, and couldn't get a job, to me was just baffling. And I said, I'm not going to put myself through 5 years of this and then not have a job. So what I did is I started trying to figure out how to base just like 2011. And I had no idea how to code. Remember, I was architecture. But I said, you know what, I'm lazy. I don't want to learn how to code before I know I can sell it. So I started reaching out to people via Facebook trying to sell $700 Facebook fan pages. Mm-hmm. And what happened is I pre-sold basically 100 of them, right, at $700 a piece. And you can see my first sale, October 5th, 2010, at 11:23 p.m. on page 34 in the book. I sold that thing, and I had $70,000 in the bank account after I pre-sold a bunch, and then that's how I launched the company. And then when you fast, it was a whirlwind.
Oh, that's crazy because actually, as I was reading that, I was remembering those kind of landing page things that you could build back in the day. And I'm like, wow, that was back in the day.
Yeah, that was us. That was me. I was like 19-year-old, wearing my ex-girlfriend's Christmas box that she gave me in my dorm room, eating pizza, coding pages.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, I want to tell you that like most of the people who are listening, and a lot of the people that I work with are really in that beginning phase of trying to get something off the ground. And so we have a lot of people that have invested time and like education dollars on different products, working with different coaches. And the truth is, it has taken them a little bit longer sometimes to make something that people are actually buying and finding that thing, you know?
No, you're right. I mean, look, this is why I tell people you can pay a bunch of money and prepare and prepare and prepare and prepare, or you can just do it. Don't waste money, just do it and see if people pay you. And if they don't, try something different. I'm a big proponent of not spending money until you get your first pre-sales.
Oh gosh. And yeah, and you know what's interesting too, and because I was, I was listening, I was honestly, when I first looked at your book, I was like, okay, I want to connect this to my audience, obviously. And I've got a lot of creatives, artists, content creators, people who are like, they clearly want to make money or they wouldn't be trying to have a business, but they're also they want to have it, make sure it's aligned with their purpose. And not to say that that's bad at all, but sometimes I feel like that kind of stops them from actually taking some serious action.
Yeah, for that, ultimately you want to end up doing something you love, but you also have to put in the work. Right? Yeah. You have to put in the early work, maybe doing some stuff you don't love to create a cash cushion for yourself to then do bigger things. Yeah. And, this is why we were talking about this. I mean, my publisher is not a fan of this book, even though it's doing very well. We're going to, I think, do very well on all the lists. I think it'll be a Wall Street Journal bestseller, but they don't like it. I'll tell you why. It's going to be old in like a year. I put like 40 screenshots, email scripts that I used to pre-sell in the book, not theory, like the actual things. And so these things, the reason they're working is because they're new. Like I created many of these things, and so they won't work once everyone does them. And that's why this book is urgent. People should grab it today to get the biggest advantage.
Yeah, that's why I have the Audible version and the actual print version, because I was like, both? I cannot just listen to this. I got to see what he's talking about. So,
and what do you think once you actually could see it?
I mean, it's next to me highlighted because one of the things that the first thing that jumped out at me, I was like, oh my gosh, this podcast, it doesn't even have the right process. This could be like such an easy way to bring in another, have another kind of avenue of bringing in money to the business. And I have just kind of squandered it for the last 3 years. Yeah. So.
You're talking about page 41 where I outline my podcast system, basically how I get my cost per episode down to $29, but the income I'm signing, I put on page 46. I sign $180,000 sponsor deals, and I sign many of those every year. So the economics per day for my podcast, The Top Entrepreneurs, is, I spend out $20. So the margins are incredible.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that really hit me first was about the podcast, just the system itself, just getting that process right. So then, when you go out to maybe seek sponsors or they reach out to you, which is what's happened to me, and I just have not said yes. But you've got this thing that's set. People know you're going to be delivering on a regular basis. They can trust you've got your shiz together. And so, I mean, it was amazing to see all of that detail.
I enjoyed the detail. I certainly wanted to put it in there. I don't know about you, but I've read so many, I've seen so many business books that I get excited about. I buy from the airport or whatever the books where I take them home, and I only use 20 pages because it's just bullet points, a bunch of steps in theory, and there's no here's how I actually.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let me ask you then. I have I wanted to go into the 3 things that really stuck. Yeah. I'm sorry if I jumped over you. There was a little hiccup in our connection. So
no, this is great.
Okay, so here's the thing. I was saying before, I like to call myself out in terms of the things that I know because I don't look at them as failures. I just look, okay, that's my next action step. I guess I got to do that, or that's important. I need to do this. This is not even a wait any longer. So let me just say that do one thing is pretty much the craziest kind of piece of advice that I actually feel and I wrote this down today. I'm I think I have PTSD a little bit over this concept because I've been doing the multitasking, the jumping to new ideas, developing them, focusing on them for a certain period of time. And then specifically in the last 3 to 4 years, this message is like the only thing that people are saying. And so then I start thinking, well, maybe I'm not growing because I'm not doing this thing. And I actually don't think it's the thing. So I'd love to hear more about this from you.
Well, look, my friends have written best-selling books on this, right?
Yeah.
The one, Jeff wrote Essentialism, right? Or Geoff wrote Essentialism, right? I mean, this is such a sexy topic to say, like, only do one thing, but it is almost a surefire way to stay totally broke and unhappy. And the reason is, I look back at my engineering friends when I was studying architecture. They introduced me to this concept called a single point of failure. And what it means is, like, if they're engineering a bridge, they engineer like 9 or 10 fail points, which means like 9 or 10 things have to go wrong all at the same time for the bridge to fail and collapse. And so in the bridge of life, it only do one thing. They have a single point of failure, whether it's one job, one boss, one coworker, etc. So you don't want to do one thing. You always actually want to be doing multiple things because you never know what's going to stick.
Yeah. I mean, Nathan, this is something that I've actually struggled with in this past year, and I think you get into this mindset then where you give over your power, and I think you even said this on Twitter once, or maybe recently, where if you really do say, okay, I'm just going to do that one thing because that guru told me that that's the one thing that I got to focus on, you're giving your power away. You're not running your business; they are.
Correct. And like, look, people ask me, Nathan, the 4 rules you put in this book that you say we have to break, like, why do they exist? And the reason they exist is because people who have gotten really wealthy or very powerful, they have to make sure no one can compete with them. So they've sold the masses, right? By the way, the average net worth is negative $4,000, right? They've sold the masses on these 4 like fake rules to keep people unhappy and with not a lot of money because they don't want people challenging their wealth and power. And so one of the things they've sold to us is, hey, focus on one thing. Focus on one thing. It's bad to multitask. Focus on one thing. And again, that's just not a smart way to build a business.
Oh, totally. I'm all about teaching my students and my clients really to try to just think for themselves. So maybe the one thing is the thing that works for you, but don't just do that because someone else is saying do the one thing. And I always do. I agree. Like, I feel like I even want a side hustle while I'm building my business now. It's the same as when I had a day job. I would always have multiple projects and different things going on the side. That doesn't change for me now.
Yeah, every creative listening should give themselves permission to always be multitasking.
Yeah.
These coaches that sell you and like do focus, let me help you do your strategic planning. It's just a load of what, because you people know when you wake up, if you want to do something from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then you get bored and you want to switch, you don't want to have to tell yourself, oh, but I paid all this money for a course and they said do one thing. I'm going to keep doing this thing that I was doing for the first 2 hours of the day, even though I don't have the energy to do it anymore. It doesn't give me life. It doesn't make me feel happy. So a lot of people, especially creatives, to feel happy, they have to jump between many, many projects.
Yeah, it's insane.
Information.
All right.
Did you hear me wrap that out, Ann?
No, the last part I did not hear, but I was like leaning in.
I was like, how's that for an open hook? All I said was creatives actually need a balance between multiple projects to stay energized. And it's actually hurtful to try and keep a creative focus.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah. That I have to just say that, like, it's actually hurt me inside this year to do that because I did that with one project and I've been coming out of it, but it's been very difficult because I knew that it wasn't right and I didn't know how to say no to that.
What do you mean? Like you stopped doing a bunch of stuff and only did one thing and made you not happy?
Well, I kept making decisions based on this whole, but Ann, you got to focus on this one thing. You're working on this evergreen webinar. You got to work on that, It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Well, you're at the promised land now. Welcome.
I know. I'm here. I'm in. Okay. So the second thing I wanted to share that really stood out to me was, and I think this really helps people understand that you're not saying do all the things all the time. I think that we do have to double down a bit, get really clear on the processes we're using. And, but I really loved your take on systems and how I mean, just in general, we went through, you talked about the podcast, because my problem is, like I said, this podcast isn't really systematized yet, and there's no real excuse for that. And as a result, sure, I've made as a result, I'll tell you what I've done, Mr. Latka, because now you're my teacher, that I have basically, this is what I did. I jumped on our process. Like, I looked at our process list, I made some tweaks, and I passed it on to the person on my team who deals with the podcast after I record to review it now, so that we can kind of really lock it down, because it's just gotten a little bit out of hand. Part of it is me not batching enough. Like, this week I've been really good, but I have to make that a more consistent machine, because it's actually me using too much time. So I hope that is a good enough action step that I took this week.
That's great. No, that's great. Batching is critical.
Yeah. And it's urgent. Again, with the urgency, it's urgent, and it's the next step is hopefully, reaching back out to sponsors who have, or people who wanted to be sponsors. I have these relationships, and it's kind of silly that I haven't really utilized them. So. Yeah, no, look, the book is full. Back to your question on systems. The book is full of systems. I mean, you see on page 113 how I did Airbnb penthouses for free. I don't know if you guys listened and ever. Yes.
It's the least expensive. Yeah. You'll see a script in the book that will show you how to actually network your way in for free into the most expensive place on page 113. Like, there's a system for that. There's another system later in the book where I basically show how I get $45,000 worth of free hotel nights in Bali at Ohana Resorts with an email script I use. Well, I only have 5,000 followers at the time to get that free. So, there's scripts in here that show you don't have to be Kim Kardashian to get free stuff. So there's all kinds of systems and scripts.
Yeah, you know what? And actually, the one section I really loved, I'm looking for the actual page number, is related to like the number 3 thing, which is copy what successful businesses are doing with, and then add your own new perspective to it. This is one I just have to say that I have a major resistance to still. So I'm hoping that you can change my mind out of this, because, I'm in the online education space, and I'm always very aware. I don't want to copy, but I think that there's always a right way to do that. I think there's a right way to look at the structure of what someone's doing. I don't know. What do you think?
By the way, this is the hardest rule to break for creatives. Because here's the problem with that. Unless you're like a billionaire, right, putting someone on Mars or inventing Tesla, you're not going to come up with something new. In fact, most things have been done. So creatives need to give themselves the permission to copy other people, and know that once you copy their base, you'll add your own twist, the icing on the cake that makes it unique. You can't do it the other way around. You can't start with uniqueness, because then you won't get traction. There's a reason nobody's done that idea before if you're trying to be super unique. So you want to copy it and add your own twist.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that to me, it makes sense, because if you think about it, I mean, I have a launching class. It might have not had as many launching class competitors at the beginning, but now there are. And
what do you mean by launching? Like how to launch your own course?
Yeah, an online business, online products mostly, online products and courses, things that consultants and coaches are doing to kind of turn their expertise into education, like a member area, something like that. And I feel like there's a ton of that right now, a ton.
Yep. No, by the way, there are tons of courses like this. So it's great that you introduced a course, because it's a system, it's a platform that has been de-risked. People are buying this kind of content, so of course you should create it. And you know what? Now you've created your own community, you've added your own twist, and I'm sure your people love your unique way that you're teaching how to launch a new online course.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it's a little bit different. I might approach it differently now, but then there was really only 1 or 2 other ones when I was first creating it in 2013 or 12 or something like that. So it was a while ago, but now I would definitely approach it completely differently. And I love the advice that you give I feel like you gave like throughout there were some different examples of, going to Udemy, seeing what the popular courses are there,
Yeah, I mean, I teach people, especially creatives, like where they can go on Patreon to basically see the revenue from other creatives making money off podcasts or YouTube videos or things like that. Because Patreon makes it public in some cases. So that's a great way to understand, like, how to monetize your digital content or the stuff that you're creating. And yeah, I give probably 30, 40 examples in the book of places to look where other people are monetizing digital content so you can get your own ideas.
Yeah. I mean, just one more point on this too, that the Udemy, like I was involved with someone who was creating a Udemy course a long time ago, but they have pretty stringent guidelines for the creators. It took a little bit of going back and forth. So I think it's actually a really great place, knowing that that's what they're focused on is online learning and how that's structured and how people are going to, actually do the courses. I think it's important to go to those places where people are focused on that industry.
Yeah, that's right. And like, look, the big thing with online courses is usually refund rates are through the roof because someone buys a $300 course and never log in to start taking it. So like, actually the trick to getting online courses sales to explode is actually driving consumption, not the initial sale. It's how have you gamified your videos to make sure people watch them and learn once they've purchased.
Yep. Awesome. You know what? I wanted to tell you, and I think I mentioned this at the beginning when we weren't on, but I was a little bit, because I saw the title of your book and I was thinking about the people who are usually on, who've been on in the last couple of months. I'm like, there was a law of attraction coach and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, am I really prepared for this? But I got to tell you, this book has really energized me. I'm super excited to share this with the entire community. And I just want to thank you.
Well, listen, it means a lot. By the way, I know you're the kind of person that doesn't just have business authors on. I know you do your research. I know you read the book. Not only that, you also have the audio book. You gave me a very nice compliment before the call about kind of what this book reminded you of in terms of past authors, which was just so
yeah, Tim Ferriss, thank you.
There's a lot of people saying that.
I got to say, I'm going to say here.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah, if you guys have read the 4-Hour Work Week is one of those books that everybody's like, oh yeah, I've got that. I've put Post-it notes in it. This is another one it's now, it's current, obviously. So now it's urgent. You got to buy it and you've got to go check it out now.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by this, but the number one word group in all the Amazon reviews are people saying, this feels like week, which is just amazing because that is a multi-million copy selling book. Tim is a genius. He's also in Austin, Texas, where I live. So it's really it's extremely flattering. And so I want to thank you for having me on and thank you for giving me a chance to kind of chat with your audience about this and encourage them to connect with me. Look, I know a lot of creators are struggling and they don't have a bunch of cash laying around. And I put a lot of the book, the screenshots for free up at capitalistbook.com. My publisher hates how much I gave away for free, but if you can't buy the book, go there and learn a bunch of the stuff for free that we're talking about.
Yeah, I love that. And then, I see that you're really active on Twitter. Is that kind of your main convo place?
Yeah, Twitter's great. I'm also really active. I'm pretty active on all the channels, actually, because what I do is I only go on social media when I'm sitting down on my plane waiting for it to take off, and I travel on a plane about once every other day. So I'm pretty active.
You're so that's my life right now.
Yes.
I love it.
We're doing all these news shows. All the, CNN, CNBC, Fox, CBS. It's just a ton of fun doing them all. But honestly, and between you and me, I love the small curated audience is so much more because I can just give more specific value, like your audience, which is full of creators and entrepreneurs.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, I'm so excited that you were able to come on, that we were able to chat today. And where should we reach out to you besides the capitalistbook.com? Is there any other place besides that? Twitter?
Twitter is great, and I'll be there and answer any questions your folks have.
Okay. That sounds great. Well, thank you again, Nathan, and I will be in touch very soon with more updates on the action I'm taking because of the book.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
All right, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Fearless Launching Show. You can just
Head on over now to the show notes where you'll get all the links to Nathan's book, How to Be a Capitalist Without Any Capital, and how to connect with Nathan. And I'm curious what you think of the book. I'm curious what you think of today's episode. We are going to be giving you a full transcript of today's episode, as I mentioned at the beginning, because there were some sound quality issues. So we just want to make sure that you're able to read through everything and you're able to follow along with us. So make sure to head over there, and then I'll see you next week. We've got another amazing interview coming up with someone else, and I can't wait for that one either. I will talk to you soon. Have a fabulous rest of your week, and see you next week.